Hi, this is Paint Yourself into the Picture, and now it's time to welcome our guest, Angela Spagnolo. Angela, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Reba.
Well, we have 20 minutes time together, and I'm here for you. I want to help you in any way I can, so I want you to tell me. First of all, I want to thank you for volunteering to be on a coaching show, which takes so much courage. It takes so much strength to actually share your vulnerability. And I'm a big believer actually in sharing our vulnerability because it's something that we all have. A lot of us spend a lot of energy trying to hide our vulnerability. But I believe actually by sharing it, we actually are stronger by doing so. So I really praise you for being here on the show. And let me ask you, what's going on? How can I help you today?
Oh, oh. Actually, recently I lost a friend of mine. He passed away unfortunately, it was a drug overdose. April 25th this year will be 1 year he's been gone. So I've actually been dealing with that a lot, as well as a lot of subconscious beliefs that I have. And I wrote a book about his passing, and I agree with you on feelings and, being vulnerable. And I'm very vulnerable. Like, I will be the first person to tell a story. I am having one big thing that I don't want to say I struggle with, because like you said, I try to choose the better words for myself and coach myself and being positive. Like, no, Angela, you're okay. Like, you've got this. But every once in a while, we find it hard to believe ourselves for that. So the one thing I have somewhat of a need to change is my financial situation. No matter how much I try to convince myself that more money is coming to me, without seeing the proof of that, it becomes something that I find very difficult to believe. So, what would you suggest as a way to fix something like that?
That's a really very interesting. Actually, you said so many interesting things right there, and they all touched on these ideas of kind of using affirmations, but not having an underlying disbelief about them. And I think that you're hitting on something that's really important, which is that we have many layers of beliefs. So it's not just that we use a positive word, but if we have an underlying belief that that's not true, then those words won't be as effective. We have to kind of, all the pieces of us, I call them our committee members, they all have to be in alignment in order for something to happen. So it just so happens that I've written a book about manifesting called The Little Book of Manifesting Big. And I talk about exactly that, about what happens when you bump into those obstacles where manifesting isn't working, positive affirmations aren't working. What I want to suggest to you is one workaround, which is to use a phrase instead of I am rich, where you've got another piece of your mind going, but I have a zero bank balance. This is a lie. It's not true. So you've got this conflict happening, which is not going to produce the result you want. So what you might try to do is say, I am open to the idea of having enough money. I'm willing to consider the possibility of changing my relationship to money. Okay, do you see the difference?
I do. That actually may be a bit more effective because, like you said, it's very hard to believe that I'm rich when I look at my bank account, and it doesn't quite say that there.
Exactly. You've got the rational mind, which is a strong part of you, going, but hey, that's not true.
Right.
So how can it work if you're fighting yourself?
I'm extremely rational, and I try to be a little less rational. And I read a lot, and I appreciate this coaching time. This is amazing. Another big thing I'm struggling with too is the things that I can't see, such as, I am a vulnerable person. I will let things bother me, and sometimes I'll even tell other people, like, just look at, focus on the thought that you want to have, but we can't always do that. So what would you suggest doing when it just becomes too difficult and you get to the point where it's just, you don't even know what you're doing here? Like, what's the purpose? Why am I here? What am I doing? Why do I wake up every single day? I mean, you know why you wake up. You're grateful for waking up, but you just don't know why. To work?
Hmm. So are you saying in general about life, or is about a specific?
It depends on the day for me. Sometimes I wake up and, I'll go ahead and I'll write blog posts and I'll make my videos, but I start to sit back and I think, is this going to be life for me? Am I just going to work so hard? Every day is going to be me trying to get to some future moment, and I try to remind myself to stay present and that what matters is now. But what would your advice be for knowing to keep remembering that? Because even for me, I feel as though I forget to remember that, it's only right now, and if I keep trying to plan for tomorrow, my future, I'm never going to even realize it when it gets here because I'm going to keep planning for my future and tomorrow.
Right. Well, there was one more workaround that I wanted to mention in terms of the manifesting money. And I'm going to go back to that because I think it actually can apply to your approach to life, because what these workarounds do is they give you space to relax. What I think is happening with you is your rational mind is getting into a little bit of maybe something like a tempest in a teapot, where you just all boil, and it's like, okay, just chill for a minute. This isn't getting you anywhere because it's just getting you roiled up. So the other workaround in terms of, let's just talk about money again, is using a question. What would it feel like to have a lot of money? Now, what the question does is, instead of getting you busy of, I have a lot of money, no, I don't have a lot of money, yes, I do have a lot of money, no, I don't have, you're in this kind of a no-win, kind of like that, those kind of spinning gear thing. Instead of that, what it does is it invites your mind to sample the texture of a different way of life. So you ask yourself, what if I didn't have any money worries? What would that feel like? Wow, it would be nice. I would just write a check and that would be taken care of. And what would it feel like? And you kind of play along. So part of manifesting a change, and I'm not talking about hocus pocus here. Part of manifesting change is allowing the mind to consider a new possibility. So when you ask yourself a question, let me ask you that question. How would you feel if you were financially wealthy?
It's difficult for me to answer because, to be honest,
Stop your mind. Just breathe in the question. How would it feel to be financially well off?
It'd feel free.
Great.
I'm pretty sure that's exactly how it feels. Very free. And I also try to remind myself that you are free now, Angela. Everything else is just created in your mind. You're worrying about things that aren't.
Your mind, you got to just, the minute you said, I feel free, that was the first time that when we were talking together where I felt, because there's a lot of, sometimes, I'm not going to say we know too much for our own good, but sometimes our mind gets so busy and it's actually not doing an activity that's helping. So what I want you to do is use those conditional ideas, like what if, how would I be open to considering? Is this a possibility? Use those open questions to allow your mind to stop and consider a new possibility. Okay, so I would feel free. So let's get back to the other question that you posed to me before, about what about your day? What am I doing with my day? Am I doing the right thing? And why am I waking up? And should I go back to sleep?
Or I feel sick. Should I be laying down? I should probably be doing something. I'm not doing anything. No, you're sick. Lay down. It's always, like you said, I'm always having two conflicting thoughts, like one wanting to do one thing and the other wanting to do another, or believing one thing and then believing the other.
Yeah.
A little battle going on.
It's like a tremendous energy expenditure between you arguing with you. You've got a debate team going. Lie down, stand up, lie down, stand up, lie down, stand up. So, how are you going to get anything done? You're going to be busy Because how are you going to choose? But who's the real Angela? You know who the real Angela is?
To see the rest of this episode, click on the link below the video now. You'll be glad you did. Are you still here? What are you waiting for? Click on the link below the video now to see the rest of this epic episode.